Greetings and good morning from southeastern coastal Carolina. It is below freezing right now, February 9th, 2022, the third decade of the 21st century. And what are we talking about? Our car won't fly? No. Colonies on Mars? No. International or interspace travel? No. Topics like that? No. We're still talking about the same old, same old. And, a part of me wonders what's the root, like where did it start, and whether or not I have the social currency to potentially say something on that. My individual interpretation is that certain things started under the Obama administration, and then Trump, with his individual personality, either drew attention to certain things or caused attention. And I know I'm speaking in very vague terms, but one thing Trump did that has kind of caused a bit of a sensation among certain people is he called out the media. Now, there were people already starting to call him out, but it didn't quite have the same kind of punch. It didn't quite have this. It didn't have the same quite popularity until Trump was like, fake news, misinformation, blah, blah, blah. And it's to the point right now where the media seems to just not even care. Like, yeah, we're going to say exactly what we want to say, and you people are going to keep coming back for more. We're going to tell you what to think, and you're going to, yep, and you'll keep coming back for more. And I personally disagree. I think it should go back to the way it was, where water's wet, sky's blue, bad things happened. Here's the information. Now you make your own informed decision. And it goes back to other things too, so with the 24-hour news cycle, since apparently there's not enough news to report or stuff that people don't determine to be newsworthy, because I'm pretty sure there's events happening on a daily basis around the globe that could be reported on 24/7. So instead, what a lot of these agencies have done in order to maximize their airtime is they have these talking head opinion or commentary sessions. Whether it's conservative, whether it's liberal, and it's people who are using some facts, some news, and they're putting their own socio-political spin on it. And it's one thing when it's sociopolitics, there's plenty of people commenting about that. More recently, and it's drawn a lot of attention to my channel, is a lot of is when it spills into, let's just say, the entertainment area. It's one thing when athletes and actors and actresses and performers of any kind, celebrities, we'll just say, have their own opinions. Should they be allowed to have opinions? Sure, they're no different than me. Just because it's not their chosen profession doesn't mean that they can't have an opinion. I mean, how many athletes or actors and actresses or musicians or whatever, how many celebrities have dabbled their toe into politics? Schwarzenegger, Reagan, just to name a few. Or a couple, actually. That's not a few. A few is three or more. Anyways, so my channel's gotten a little bit of popularity as of recently because I made a short little video essentially making an attempt to call out media hypocrisy, and I probably didn't do a good enough job, but it had to do with Jensen Ackles and it had to do with Joss Whedon. And I was attempting to ask certain questions, like, the title of the video ended with, is it really what it is? Specifically, Jensen did an interview with Michael Rosenbaum, and then shortly after the interview was posted, after Jensen and Michael worked it out, because the interview took place before the Alec Baldwin incident on Rust, and then certain media outlets took certain excerpts from that and tried to make clickbait, where essentially the goal of the clickbait was to either start a feud with Jensen and Jessica Alba, or divide people into Camp Alba and Camp Ackles, and it's like, well, no, Jessica, no, Jensen. And I was calling that out. And then Joss Whedon has recently suffered some fanfare not necessarily good fanfare, but negative fanfare, and it all started with the whole Ray Fisher thing. And the reason I made a video is another personality that I'm a big fan of, Razor Fist, made a video in direct response to a Vulture article in which a reporter interviewed Joss Whedon. I tried reading the article. I've been called out for it a couple times. I didn't like the article. I'm in some cases I'm not always interested in the fluff, and the particular day that I was trying to read the article, I just kept getting an overwhelming sense of fluff, empty calories, and I was like, man, I just want the facts. And I was getting the overwhelming impression that the reporter had their own socio-political agenda, and they were framing the story to suit their own desired outcome. Whether or not that's the truth or not, I'm not gonna go ahead and cement that like that's exactly what they're doing. That was the impression. That is how me at almost 46 years of age, all right, and the culmination of my experiences and the sum total of my decisions, that was how I perceived the information. That is how I received, interpreted, and processed the information. The reporter had a preconceived agenda, had a preconceived conclusion that they wanted to arrive at, so they wrote the article after conducting the interview to satisfy that conclusion and that narrative. That's how I perceived it. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be wrong. I can just be the individual interpreting the information, because thankfully I live in the United States of America where I'm free to do so. All right? I didn't receive it as though you were giving me all the facts, that you were attempting to tell me how to feel. And all I wanted was facts, not telling me how to feel, so I chose not to finish the article. There, that's it. Razor Fist then went on to make a video where he basically was like, I'm not a fan of Whedon, was not a fan of his projects, was not a fan of him as a person, but does he deserve to get lambasted as he is? Because essentially, he's getting all this negative attention in the media. And I'm not saying whether it's unjustified or not. I'm not calling any of that out. But it goes back to my bigger problem. My lack of trust in the media hypocrisy. So before I stumble down that rabbit hole and start having tea with the Mad Hatter, I'm going to go ahead and pump the brakes, and I'm going to switch directions a little bit. One thing that's been trending over the last several years, if for no other reason than the presidential election with Trump and Hillary, and then the Trump presidency, there has been an overwhelming amount of hypocrisy, whether in the media or with various people. It seems as though when Obama got elected, there was a change in the dynamic. There was a change in philosophy, a change in the operating standard, where like Obama was untouchable because he changed the view, he changed the palette of the White House. He was half black, half white. So for all intents and purposes, he was labeled as the first black president. And it changed the overall dynamic on how people wanted to deal with that position. And then President Trump comes along, and he's a big, abrasive personality. And the way that Obama was treated, Trump was treated completely differently. And I'm speaking specifically about stuff like Jimmy Kimmel, Samantha Bee, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, and people who are supposed to be comedians because they potentially started out as comedians, but now they're like late night hosts, and they're supposed to do like comedic commentary, interviews, etc., but they're all kind of beating the exact same drum from the exact same political party liberal mantra, and I don't find them particularly funny. I find them extremely hypocritical. And there's one who is basically in the same camp. He's invited to the parties. He's allowed to drink from the Kool-Aid if he likes the flavor, but he's maintained a small sense of his identity. I don't always agree. In fact, lately, since he decided to talk specifically about socio-political issues, I haven't agreed with him hardly at all. I haven't found him as funny as I find his stand-up hardly at all. And that's Trevor Noah. In my personal opinion, again, at almost 46 years of age, heterosexual, Caucasian male, ginger, 20-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps, husband, father, father who lost a child, all these things that make me who I am, the sum total of my decisions, the sum total of my experiences, all the things that make me who I am, all the things that allow me the opportunity for me to individually receive information, absorb that information, process that information, and make my own decisions. Trevor Noah seems to be the only one who's maintained a sense of identity. He's the only one that seems to be like, you know what, I don't entirely agree, and I'm going to openly disagree, and I'm going to have my own opinion. I'm not going to continue to beat the drum when I don't agree with it. And he seems to be the only one who's objective. And he's posted a couple of videos in the last couple of weeks where he's essentially demonstrating some level of objectivity where it's like, guys, I'm normally with you on that one. I'm normally in your camp. We're normally all friends, but, I reserve the right to disagree. I reserve the right to tell you you're wrong. And there's a 99.999% chance this would never, ever get to Trevor Noah. But I think if anybody who's currently enjoying their celebrity status, like Trevor Noah, I think he's the only one in a position right now amongst the group of people like that, like the Samantha Bees, the Seth Meyers, you get the idea. I think he's the only one that is willing to, use himself, his platform, and his staff of researchers and writers and whatnot to potentially look at the hypocrisy, to look at how certain people have dealt with certain issues and how, and as an example, look at Whoopi Goldberg. All right, had it have been anybody else, all right, a white woman, a white person, conservative person, would they have received the same treatment Whoopi has received? By all intents and purposes, by all comparative accounts, Whoopi has been treated rather kindly and with a sense of courtesy that would have been denied others, in my professional opinion, in my personal and professional opinion. And just using that one myopic example, all the controversy surrounding Hunter Biden and, President Biden with his, he's still being dealt with kid gloves. And, tragically, both him and Kamala Harris have said some pretty stupid things. And they've been dealt with kid gloves, which demonstrates the hypocrisy that, they're not, nobody's willing to call them out. And the only person in that realm, in that sphere of similar professions, I think, is Trevor Noah, who's willing to take an objective look at things and potentially call it out, whether serious or whether in a serious / sarcastic tone. I mean, let's face it, that I'm aware of. He's welcomed people like Tommy Lahren. He's welcomed the opportunity to have people on his show that he doesn't always agree with and attempt to have a conversation, even if it includes a little bit of sarcasm and jokes, because you can't forget the fact that Trevor Noah is a stand-up comedian, so, his roots are comedy. He's had Dan Crenshaw on his show, and quite frankly, because I have the freedoms to be like, don't want to watch you, don't want to tune in, don't want to hear you saying the same thing as everybody else just in your own way. I'm not familiar if he's had other people on, but recently, I took the opportunity to listen to what he had to say, and I thought that he was a bit objective. I thought that he was a bit neutral on certain things, and he was like, well, this is my opinion. It may not be the same as others I normally share a space with, but this is my opinion. So, if nothing else, if you're still looking for some satirical commentary on some serious subjects, perhaps Trevor Noah is the place you can look, where he's maintaining a sense of his identity, and he's not selling himself out completely, and he's allowing himself to, remain objective and be like, that's stupid. Yeah, but that's the political party that we favor. I understand it's the political party we favor, but that's still stupid. That's a stupid thing to have done. That's a stupid thing to have said, and I'm going to make fun of it because it's wide open. So, who knows? With any luck, maybe there's a 0.0001% chance Trevor Noah would see this video and he would make a comment. But how about you? If you've taken the time over the last 15 minutes, and I really need to shut the hell up, if you've taken the time, what do you think? You know, do you think that, you know, people like the Seth Meyers and the, you know, the whatever are, you know, not as objective as they should be because comedy is supposed to be completely objective and comedy is supposed to hit both sides of the aisle? Do you think that media is being hypocritical? You know, and speaking of hypocritical, do you think, you know, it's starting to attack areas that we would prefer they leave alone? Like, hey, go after the politicians. That's fine. Have at the politicians. You know, leave our content alone. All right, at the end of the day, when I'm done with the politics, when I'm done with work, when I'm done with all this stuff, and I just want to turn my brain off and TV, and I just want to be entertained with stories, you know, leave that stuff alone. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, since more of you have been watching this and more of you have been taking the time to comment, please leave a comment. Let's have these conversations, because if I haven't proven it already, trust me, if you leave a comment, I will respond, okay? And you can also tell me in the comment, hey, do me a favor, don't identify me or don't identify my channel name or whatever, just respond to this, and I'll do that as well. So until then, you guys know the deal. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. I don't really care. I'm more interested in the comments because I want to see us have these conversations. Till next time.